Yesterday, excuse me, I did a commentary talking about the those three individuals who killed Ahmaud Arbery, murdered him rather, found guilty on the hate crime charges, on pretty much every federal hate crime charge that they were hit with. But there was one thing that I forgot to put in there, and that was the commentary given by Wanda Cooper Jones, who you see in this picture, who of course is Ahmaud Arbery's mother, in which she calls out, after she thanks everyone she needs to thank, with this case, she then goes in to call out the DOJ, the Department of Justice. And let me just tell you right now, y'all better hang on to your seats, because this is something that we rarely ever see happen when it comes to black families or family members of black people who are killed unjustly. So this clip that you're about to hear is about 2 minutes long, and really pay attention to what she says. And I think she name drops some people as well. Like, she doesn't hold back.
I now want to address the members of the DOJ. I'm very thankful that you guys brought these charges of hate crime. But back on January the 31st, you guys accepted a plea deal with these three murderers who took my son's life. Marcus and two of Ahmaud's aunties stood before the courts and begged the judge not to take a plea deal that the DOJ went before the judge and asked them to take a plea deal with these guys. That's a mother. Attorney Ben Crump just called these women, just called her name, Christian Clark. As I traveled to Brunswick on that Sunday afternoon, I spoke to Christian Clark and the lead attorney, Taurean, begging them to please not take this plea deal. They ignored my cry. I begged them. Even after the family stood before the judge and asked the judge to not take this plea deal, the lead prosecutor, Taurean, stood up and asked the judge to ignore the family's cry. Justice. That's not justice for Ahmaud. Come on. What we got today, we wouldn't have gotten today if it wasn't for the fight that the family put up on January the 31st. What the DOJ did today, they was made to do today. It wasn't because what they wanted to do. They were made to do their job today.
Okay, so y'all just heard it right there. And let me just say, Wanda Cooper Jones, let her be the blueprint to black people as far as family members out there of how to handle business when it comes to losing a loved one in the fashion that she lost her son. She does not get up there and she starts asking for forgiveness, or she doesn't get up there and starts praying to God. She doesn't do all the typical things that they expect black people to get up there and do after they have lost their loved one in the way that she lost her son. She gets right down to it and tells it like it is. And y'all know, if y'all have been following me since 2020, around the time we found all of this out, I said I knew she was a real one when one of the first things that she said when it came to this, when they were asking her, what kind of punishment do you prefer these three to have? And her words were the death penalty. I will never forget it because I remember doing a video about it. She said she wants the death penalty for them. Now, I think she, of course, she's going to say that. Now, I don't know if Georgia honors the death penalty or not, but, naturally, that's something she would want because they took her son. She like a life for a life. It is what it is. And at that moment, I knew that she was a real one, because rarely do you ever hear someone in her position say those words. Usually it's something else pretty basic or pretty normal, I guess you can say, when it comes from people who look like us, when when we have to be, unfortunately, in this position, but not her. When she said that, I said, oh yeah, she's down. She's riding this thing to the end. And that's exactly what she has done. That's why I said, let Wanda Cooper Jones be the blueprint of how you should conduct yourself when it comes to these kind of proceedings. So like I said yesterday, the case, everything is pretty much done. They're going to jail for the rest of their life. They got those hate crime charges attached to them. It is what it is. Now, she did something that was probably considered to be off script when she called out the DOJ. Now, here's the thing. She didn't even have to do that, because what she basically just called out was already public knowledge. It has been for the last couple of weeks, but the thing is, a lot of people didn't know about it. It wasn't that widespread. But when she got up on this podium on that day after those court proceedings and put them on blast of what we already knew, that's now, it went from a small pocket of people knowing what was happening to a more widespread piece. She pretty much blew the lid open. She opened up Pandora's box. And I love the fact that not only did she call out the DOJ, but she also mentioned names. One of those names we've already familiar with, whose name is Kristen Clark. Now, if y'all subscribe to Professor Black Truth, he's talked about Kristen Clark on his channel before. And yes, this is a black woman. The DOJ actually tried to make it seem like Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud Arbery's father, and other family members or associates, whoever could be closely attached to this case, was accepting of a plea deal for those 3 murderers, when clearly they said, no, we want this to go to trial. But what we didn't know, at least what I didn't know, maybe you did or maybe you didn't, was that other person she mentioned, whose name is, I think she said Tara Lyons. I'm not too familiar with who she is. They said they stood up in front of that judge and ignored their statements about going to trial for this hate crime charges, those federal hate crime charges, and said that they would accept the plea deal. Like, straight up lied in front of their face and in front of that judge. I'm so glad she called them out. And I like how she ended it off, where she was saying that it wasn't the DOJ who got them to this point. It was the family and the people that got them to this point, because the DOJ didn't do what they wanted to do or felt to do was right. She said the DOJ did what they felt they had to do, not what they wanted to do, had to do. There's a difference. Wanted to do means you voluntarily take on the case because you feel it's the right thing to do. Had to do, which is what they did, is they felt obligated to do it, or they were beholden to do it against their own will, even though it was the right thing to do. So there's definitely a difference. The latter definitely is weak sauce compared to the former. So shout out to Wanda Cooper Jones for standing up, putting her foot down, and keeping her foot on their necks the whole time. Like, she never took her foot off the gas the entire time. That's why I said, let her be a blueprint to all other family members out there. And if you want to limit it down to just her being a woman, let her be the litmus test for all the other black women out there who might have to unfortunately be in this position. Call it all out. See, the thing is, she got 2 victories today. She got the victory in that courtroom, and she got the victory of the people. She literally said, oh no, we may have gotten that victory in the courtroom, but I'm going to call the DOJ out. Don't think it's over. I'm not going to let that slide. And I'm glad she didn't, because people need to know how underhanded a lot of these individuals are. And I bet you this happens on more than one occasion. This is not a one-off. It's not isolated. This happens more often than people would like to believe. But she put them on notice. And I'm so glad that she did. With that being said, I'm going to end the video on that note. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. If you are new, make sure that you hit that bell to be notified every time I upload a new video or go live.